Welcome to episode 59 of Drew's Sports Crew. Here we have another week, another guest. So today, Robert Shimek is joining me here on the Sports Crew. You usually hear us do EWC episodes, but today he is a part of the Sports Crew and he's doing the Monday episode with me. So, Robert, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Glad to come along and talk some sports, not just EWC like you said, but yeah, sports in general, national sports here.
Yeah, now the big stage here, right? We always like to do our high school episodes, like I said. So Robert always has been a part of here, the Sports Crew, but now he's doing the official, episode called the Sports Crew. So with that, let's get into it here. But a few things before we do that. You might see some new posts on Instagram. For example, on Sundays, we're going to be posting a schedule, laying out what's going on the week. So with that, that'll be on our Sports Crew account, but you might not see like the EWC stuff. Usually we like to post on EWC_sports, but so just keep a lookout for those posts. Zach Roush also is planning, with Journey to Million, we'll be making more rankings. Zach made those draft rankings. Look, we want to tie some things into some fantasy sports here. So we might make some fantasy football rankings. It'll be a lot of fun. And lastly here, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Always, we've been getting some subscribers there. People love listening to the EWC sports episodes on there as well. Good alternative. If you don't want to listen, maybe on the Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. But with that, let's get into the shout out of the week. And I let Robert choose this one. And Robert, who'd you go with?
Yeah, I just had to go with Grayson Allen today because it's like I'm just watching him today and not many came to mind but him. Grayson Allen, I've always liked him as a player. I mean, a lot of people don't like him just because he's kind of a punk, dirty player, a lot of people say. But you know what? I love those guys. You need those guys on your team. And I think, he's not quite the PJ Tucker defensive maybe last year the Bucks had, but I just like those kind of dogs in the playoffs that can just get you just kind of fired up, and he can shoot it. So I mean, 6 for 7 today from beyond the arc, I believe. And yeah, he's just he's just one that first came to mind.
Yeah, and rightfully so. Look what he dominated in that 119-95 win for the Bucks in Chicago. And let's go right here to the stats of the week because I have a stat with Grayson Allen, so I'm glad you chose him there. Like you said, he went 6 for 7 from 3, finished with 27 points. He joins Danny Green as the only player in NBA postseason history to have back-to-back playoff games with at least 5 3-point field goals made on 70% three-point field goal shooting or better. So, there's 2 guys now, and Grayson Allen is one of those 2 guys. So, awfully impressive there. And then we have to talk about a 4-game series between the Pirates and the Cubs that took place this past weekend, right? We saw that 21-0 stinker Cubs win against the Pirates. And the Pirates, they won the other 3 games in that series. They ended up winning that series, that 4-game series, with a -17 run differential. And that is the worst run differential in a 4-game series win in MLB history. So look at it there. And then the Cubs have the worst run differential, or the best run differential in a series where they lose with a +17 run differential. So that goes both ways there with the Cubs and the Pirates. Next stat, the Cubs, I talked about the 21-0 win over the Pirates, ties the 3rd largest shutout win in MLB's modern era, and that's since 1900. And it's the largest shutout victory in Cubs history. Robert, did you see that 21-0 win that took place on Saturday?
Yeah, I did. And, I looked at like the box score because everyone was having a good day for the Cubs. And first thought that came to my mind was, I think it was like 2008 or something, 2009. Brewers won a game at PNC Park 20-0. So that was, I'm guessing that had to be Brewers' biggest shutout win. But yeah, That's the first thing that came to my mind. So a lot of blowouts there at PNC.
Yep. And here we go. Next one here with a single against the Colorado Rockies, Miguel Cabrera. He became the 33rd member of the 3,000 hit club. And yeah, talk about his resume. He's a former AL MVP, Triple Crown winner. And he's just the seventh player in MLB history to have both 3,000 hits and 500 home runs. Easily first ballot Hall of Famer. Not a question. And just a quick thoughts here, right? Who do we think is going to be next to 3,000? Look, there's not really many guys who are going to be able to attain this, I think, in the upcoming years, just based on age and, other factors, injury and such. I personally right now think Manny Machado is the next guy, Robert.
Yeah, Manny Machado in this, you'll like this. I talked about Grayson a little bit. Manny Machado is my favorite MLB player. I just like those guys. So I hope he's the next guy to 3,000. I mean, he definitely, I checked today the 3,000 active players list. I would think it'd be Juan Soto just because, but he might get walked too much.
Yep,
I think he gets walked too much. I think he'll be close, but yeah, Manny Machado, what is he at, like 1,400 hits right now?
He's 1,445, and he's further into his career, right? So he's going to hit it before Juan Soto would.
Yeah, so I think he's 30 years old,
29.
He's 29. So he's 29 years old. Yeah, I mean, the thing about that 3,000 hits, like they said today, like, yeah, you got to come in early and you got to stay late. And I think, yeah, Machado came in early. And hopefully he stays late. I mean, he's had kind of some sneaky good seasons recently. So hopefully he can get it. And I think it's either him or Juan Soto.
Yeah, against Soto with the walk rates being so high, it is like how high it is. That's gonna definitely hurt his case. But that's same with a guy like Votto, right? I know Votto's had some down years, some injury years, but like the rate he walks at, it just hurts his chances for a counting stat like 3,000 hits. But all these guys, phenomenal at what they do. And yeah, Machado, that 2018 postseason still, makes me despise him a little bit, but you still got to respect, what he's been able to do in this past decade now already. So next stat here, we got one more, and it is in the world of basketball, NBA here. So we saw that remarkable comeback win with the Grizzlies and the Timberwolves. The Grizzlies, they went on a 15-0 run in the first half and a 21-0 run in the second half. And they're the third team over the last 25 seasons with multiple 15-0 runs in the same playoff game. And that's the first time since 2010. So, they say basketball is a game of runs, and here we go. A prime example of it there in the NBA playoffs, Robert.
Yeah, I didn't kind of forgot when I was doing that, and I didn't see that game live. Just kind of following it along in the app, but yeah, I really like that Minnesota. Two teams I really like. I think Grizzlies might be like a John Morant, maybe slightly overrated just because I think he gets a lot of like Twitter hype and Minnesota. But yeah, I really like that Minnesota squad, and should be a good ending of the series.
It should be indeed. That's a good 7-2 series there brewing. Not like the one we thought that was going to be good in the East right now, 3-0. Hopefully they could turn that around. But let's talk on this day here, Robert. On this day, April 25th, 2022, and let's go 1901 in last, so it's in the bottom of the ninth. They call it in the last of the ninth, so maybe that's the language they used in 1901. The Detroit Tigers, they were trailing by 13-4, and they score a whopping 10 runs to win one of the greatest comebacks in baseball history, and that would be the first game that took place in Detroit in 1901. So some funky wording there. Saying trailing by and in the last of the ninth. But, 1950 on this day, Chuck Cooper, he becomes the first African-American to be drafted into the NBA, and that was by the Boston Celtics in that year. And on this day in 1974, the NFL, they move the goalposts and they adopt the sudden death playoff. And that was, like I said, on this day in 1974. On this day in 1978, the Philly Fanatic, he makes his first appearance. I had to include that. If you're watching the Brewer game Sunday night on ESPN, we did see the Philly Fanatic. He did make a surprise appearance, which was always good to see. On this day in 1993, the NFL draft, Washington State quarterback Drew Bledsoe. He's the first pick by the New England Patriots. And the last one here, another NFL draft one on this day in 2009, Georgia quarterback Matthew Stafford. He's the first pick by the Detroit Lions. Robert, do you want to comment on any of those on this days that took place?
Yeah, the Philly Fanatic, like you saw, spilling popcorn in the booth there. I still remember they brought up one of the greatest like ESPN commercials when he's using Derek Jeter's razor. That's one of my favorites. And the Drew Bledsoe too. That's a big one. It's just, a lot of people always ask what could have been if he never got knocked out that one day, and that when he played for the Patriots. So that's a big one there too.
The beauty of sports is what they say. And yeah, let's go now here to the weekly sports talk. So we're going to be doing a lot of Brewers stuff here, talk some Bucks, and then we're going to round it out with some trivia. So let's start here with the Brewers. Let's talk about this past week in baseball for the Milwaukee Brewers. I predicted that they were going to go, I said 5-1, and you know what they did? They went 5-1. They followed what I said. I predicted the exact records. So I win the prediction challenge this week as I beat Jared. He said 4-2. So I am now 1-1 for the prediction challenge. And yeah, just looking back at this past week in baseball, I think the Sunday night game, was an absolute treat, for us fans, a 1-0 pitchers duel win. We'll talk about that later here first, but I want to talk about the 3-game series, that sweep against the Pirates. Let's hear about it, Robert. What do you think so far from the Brewers here, especially that Pirates series there?
Yeah, I think the story of the Brewers season, as they sit atop the NL Central, tied with the Cardinals here, it's just been, we knew it coming into the year, they're dominant pitching, and it's just like everybody knows about, the Brewers are struggling right now hitting. And I think obviously, like myself, and a lot of fans, you want to see those big run totals. You want to see those home runs. You want to see Bernie go down that slide. But it's just, at the end of the day, like, pitching will still win you ball games. Like, I just take, for example, like those 2008 to 2011 teams. It's just like, Brewers could get the crap out of the ball, but just never had those, like, great pitching staff and great bullpens. So I just think they're getting the job done just by their pitching here, and they're doing just enough. I think they kind of got lucky, like some games. They matched up when they need to score enough runs, they do, and they find ways to win. So I think, right now you can't overreact to maybe some low averages or some, not maybe hitting as much home runs as you want when, you're winning games 1-0 like this. And once you get into that 8th, 9th inning, it's pretty much lights out from there. I really can't remember a closer, like maybe besides like the middle early days of Chapman, where it's just like Hader comes in, everyone's just scared, like, oh crap, like it's over. Like, just blowing the most probably untouchable pitcher right now in the 9th inning in baseball. So at least the Brewers have that.
Yeah. And like that Pittsburgh series, big story for me was, we saw Christian Yelich, right? The grand slam. That was the big story. Gets a changeup, right? They leave Thompson in for too long. Derek Shelton, I don't know what he was doing, leaving, Yelich in, or he left Thompson in for Yelich, and he got a changeup right down the middle, smack dab down the middle. You look, you still can't make mistakes to a guy like Yelich, and grand slam, boom. That kind of ended up being, the big thing for the Brewers there. But, that was Eric Lauer, right? He pitched in that game as well. He looked great. He surrendered that home run to Diego Castillo, but oh well. He dominated, right? Burns and Woodruff, their time around, against they look great, right? I know there's some concern for Woodruff, which I never understood why. Look, I like the first 2 starts. It's still Brandon Woodruff, right? I know there's some concerns with new baseball, right? And even there's some concerns, right, with Garrett Cole. Like, I don't know why. And look, he proved himself on this Sunday against the Indians. But the Brewers, they take care of them. They have great pitching. That they roll their dynamic duo there with Woodruff and Burns against the Pirates, and then they go to Philadelphia for that 3 game. They historically don't do well in Philly, and if you can win this series, look, I didn't know how they were going to fare against Ranger Suarez. Thankfully, they were able to knock him out a little earlier than I thought they would have been able to, but they played good enough to win there. Aaron Ashby got screwed over by some contact that the Phillies got that had no business being hits, right, Robert? I don't know. What did you think? With this Philadelphia series that took place this past weekend?
Yeah, like I said, it's just doing enough to win, and just, like some of the weak contact there, but then again, like tonight, and a lot of. It's good to see like Yelich got that sac fly tonight, because it's just like he's been really struggling this season and the last couple seasons. It's just, I think his approach is just a little off, and him coming back from his injuries. But I hope he can come back and just be good. But I just saw from this Philadelphia series, you know, just like I said, just doing enough to win, just getting it done. I mean, the Brewers are just playing solid baseball right now. I know they lost a couple early to the Cubs, and then they weren't like maybe as sharp as you'd like in the Orioles series, but just the last couple of games, you just have faith they're just going to make the plays out there, and you always got that bullpen like I mentioned, and it's just I'm just curious to see what one of these hitters kind of just like breaks out here, comes around. I know Keston Hiura had a home run, not in this past series, but hopefully he's a guy that can come around a little bit. But yeah, hopefully, who knows? Maybe they make a move at the deadline here. But yeah, I just overall these last couple of series, the Brewers have just looked more kind of like, they got those first couple series out of the way. They look more like the old Brewers. And the thing I want to mention about like that Garrett Cole and the Brandon Woodruff is, you've heard a lot of people talk about it on Twitter, on broadcasts. It's just like with the shortened spring training, most pitchers have 3-4 starts and, simulated starts before spring training. So they're more on like that 7th, 8th kind of start once they get to opening day. And pitchers, the training and OTAs, baseball's version of maybe OTAs before spring training started. Like, I know there's a term, I don't know it right now, but yeah, like I just think like since all that was shortened, I just think it might take a little bit of time here for some of these big name guys to just get a little sharp and get back to their old self. But yeah, I have no really worries about Woodruff or any other pitchers that are struggling right now. As you saw, like Aaron Nola tonight, he struggled in his first couple starts. His last two, he really struggled in those, and he was really sharp tonight, only allowing, I think, 1 hit through 7 innings. So, yeah, that's where I kind of see, like, the Brewers in Major League Baseball through this point.
Yeah, and that's a good way to look at it, right? Brewers, they always find a way to win. And I know that's a theme you've mentioned. I totally agree with you there. And they did again, on that Sunday night, regardless of how, the strike zone was. Right, and it ended up hurting both squads, but it ended up hurting the Phillies more, it seemed, in crucial at-bats. But Eric Lauer gets 17 swinging strikes, and that is something to keep an eye out for. Look, Eric Lauer, he was dominant in the second half. Him and Hauser both were last year. Lauer's continuing that dominance this year, and all I'm saying is watch out. Their first 4, right, if Peralta gets a little bit more back on track, and I'm not worried, of course, about Woodruff or Burns, but yeah, look, this is going to be a tough front 4. And even with Hauser, he had a great second half ERA last year. And I think, again, the Fab 5 returns here this year. So keep an eye out for that. And Robert, we're going to do our Brewer Prediction Challenge here. So I'm going to read, they got 7 games this upcoming week. They have the interesting Monday game there against San Francisco, the Giants, because of the lockout. So they go back to Milwaukee. They play 1 game against the Giants, and then they fly back out to Pittsburgh. And they're in Philadelphia right now, so they have to fly back to Milwaukee, 1 game, and then they have to fly all the way back, back into Pennsylvania to play Pittsburgh. That's just how it works. And they play 3 games then against the Pirates, and then they go back home. They fly back to American Family Field and into Milwaukee, and they play the Cubs for a 3-game set there as well. So there's 7 games then on this week's slate. So, Robert, I'll start with you. How do you think the Brewers are going to perform? So what happens is if you pick whatever record you pick, you get everything above it basically or below it based on how I pick, right? So if I pick 4-3, I'll get, and you pick like 3-4, right? You're going to get everything below. I'm going to get everything above. So with that, what are you going to pick?
I'm going to pick, I think they go 5-2. I think, they're hot right now. If I'm going game by game, I think, tomorrow night, I think that might be an opportunity where they might drop a game. Who's on the mound for them tomorrow night?
Let me check. I don't know if it was, I do not know if it was announced yet. Technically, it would be, right, if Lauer,
Burns,
it would be Burns. And I think it is him. It goes Burns, and then it'll go Woodruff on Tuesday is how it should be.
Gosh, that's tough. You never really can pick against Burns, but I'll say that's a tough one because, they used Devin Williams and Hader a lot recently. So, and I know San Francisco's got their closer available tomorrow. So I think that one is definitely a game that'll be close, late innings that might get a little hairy. But I definitely think if they would lose, I definitely think they lose 2 games in there. I think if they drop that one tomorrow, you got the funky flights. And then I think between the Cubs and the Pirates, I think they're sweeping one of those series. Hopefully it's the Cubs. Because, just come on, not you're Brewers fans. And then, I think they drop one of those in there. And so, I'm going to say 5-2 for this next week. I think they stay hot here, don't have the toughest schedule coming up. And hopefully they can, pile on some division wins here.
I totally agree with that. I was going to go 5-2, which now I will not. So I go 6-1 or 4-3 here. And I always say this in the episodes. Look, I'm going to root for my team here. And I certainly think, if there's a game to drop, again, it's Burns' pitching, but I think it's tomorrow's or today is technically here against the Giants. I'm going to go 6-1. And I think this team's got to go on a hot streak here. And I think they will go on a hot streak. So I'm taking Brewers going 6-1 this week. They're going to put together another good stretch, just as they did this past week, going 5-1. So with that here, Robert, we're going to talk a little bit more about Brewers here, but we're going to talk about a former Brewer here, Ryan Braun. So I did a Wednesday poll, which I plan to keep these going. We're going to do some Wednesdays. We're going to just survey, see what you guys think, see what the fans think. And I asked this question about Ryan Braun, right? Do you think Ryan Braun's number should be retired by the Milwaukee Brewers is the debate question. And before we look at what some of the fans said, Robert, I'm going to go to you first. What do you think?
1,000%. Ryan Braun forever. He is my favorite Brewer of all time and my favorite baseball player of all time. I mean, I grew up with him, so maybe I'm a little biased. He's just my favorite Brewer ever. I think, obviously you had the 2011 or, kind of MVP that a lot of people, will say it's an asterisk or whatever. And then you had his whole PEDs, and obviously everyone knows about it, so we won't spend a lot of time talking about it. But it's just like, Ryan Braun, it looked like third in WAR for Brewers, and Cecil Cooper is second, I believe, and Yount's obviously won, and he's better than Cooper, I think. And so I think he's a top 2 Brewers player of all time. If I really I've watched, not a lot of games of the 70s and 80s when they were a solid team, but it's just like I just think he's one of your faces of your franchise, not just like he's one of your best statistical players of all time. He's just like this kind of that 2008 to 2011 run they kind of went on there. He had so many big moments in clutch hits, and for his whole career, I can't really remember an MLB player having as much like just clutch hits as Ryan Braun had and clutch home runs. And it's just like I just think when you think of the Brewers, you just kind of associate Ryan Braun with the Brewers. And I think when that happens with a player and he's that important to a city like Milwaukee, I just think you have to. I just think 1,000% they will coming up here. And I mean, if they don't, I don't really see why they wouldn't. I don't know. I would just be shocked if they didn't.
And look, I'm totally with you. My answer was they have to. I think it's a matter of when, but look, my things for like the case for him is so strong because I was at the Ryan Braun retirement ceremony they did last year. Look, I've never seen a ceremony done like that for a player whose number is not retired. I don't know if you've seen that from last year that they did absolute, before the game, everything, family. Yeah, exactly. Right. So it's like, okay, if you're going to do something like that for a player, they better be up in the rafters one day, right? They better be up, their name better be solidified in that franchise history. I think Ryan Braun's done that. Look at his career numbers. Like you mentioned, I mean, he's on the top of all the leaderboards, right? All-time home run leader in franchise history with 352. And look, he's got the resume. He was a franchise Brewer. Again, we mentioned like 2013, the steroid stuff got him suspended from earlier years. But again, everyone knows that, like you said, it's right. I hope it's just a matter of when. And the reason I say I hope is because, look, like you mentioned, Cecil Cooper being number 2 in WAR in the franchise. Again, this is WAR, right? But Cecil Cooper is not retired. His number is not retired. Jim Gander, his number is not retired. There's some other guys, that some of the people, older fans, right, who have watched, grew up watching, and they're like, why are they? Well, maybe they feel as if Braun's number gets retired, well, maybe their numbers should get retired. But again, it comes down to look at what he's done for this franchise. Look at, his longevity with this franchise. Look at the clutch hits. Look at the career stats. I think his resume, has what it definitely has, the resume of a retired number for a team. So with that, Robert, let's talk a little bit about what the fans said, the listeners here. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, let's get into it.
So I asked the poll, or I asked the question for the poll. Should the Brewers retire number 8 for Ryan Braun? 78% of people said yes. 22% of people said no. So pretty good numbers there, I say, for our case here, considering we are both yeses. I asked why you picked what you picked. And I got, so one person who said no mentioned roids. And that was the one, so the whole steroid thing, which, look, that certainly is the blemish, right, on the resume. Do you think, Robert, that there's a possibility that this could hold him back?
I mean, he's no Barry Bonds. Like, I know Barry Bonds has his number retired. He's not Barry Bonds, but it's just like, yeah, Ryan Braun's not a Hall of Famer, and I think it's close if injuries don't derail his career. But that's not what we're talking about here. I just think when you retire a player's number, it's just, part of that factors into just how much like importance he was to those teams. And I think that kind of outweighs his steroids. And yeah, I think just a lot of fans just forgave him. It's just like, yeah, he made a mistake. He lied about it. But at the end of the day, it's just like, I think all those moments, I think they just kind of override what happened. So yeah, I don't think like roids is a fair thing to not let a player get recognized by his own team.
Yes,
for what he's done.
And Hall of Fame all you want, but and I'm reading stuff here now with like Jim Gantner, right? I mentioned him already, his number not being retired. Nobody's worn his number since. So, if they were not to retire him, I would hope nobody would wear number 8 since, or number 8, for the future, right? But I certainly do think he should be and will have his number retired. Here's some more thoughts from the fans here. Braun was a franchise player who won an MVP and carried the team for a long time. Exactly, right? True. They're entertaining for so many years is what one fan said. Exactly as well. Braun is one of the greatest players in franchise history, hands down, for sure. All-time home run leader. It was likely, stay that way for a while. And then he was an MVP. Huge role in the 2010s. I agree with that. I think all these we agree with. 2 more here from the fans. Lots of reasons. I would say solely for his walk-off grand slam versus Cardinals. That was a nice one. Like, you talk about big hits, right? That's prime example there. Last one here. He was a vital part of the team, a team that for many years, and he helped them get to the playoffs, in those stretches he was a part of. So I think all the things the fans said, for his case, certainly I agree with all of them. And yeah, this was just something fun I wanted to do here, talk about it on a Wednesday poll. Might do one of these this week too. This Wednesday might throw a question on there, see what everyone thinks, for the fans. So that was a lot of fun. And yeah, Robert, thanks for partaking in that discussion with me. So our verdict is his number should get retired, right? And I think it should be just a matter of when, right?
Yeah, just one last thing to add. I just always felt like Ryan Braun, like, you just knew, like, late in the game when Ryan Braun was up, you always had a chance, like that's just one thing, like, just a player, you always knew you had a chance with Ryan Braun, always was going to make good contact late. And yeah, of course, we are both on the side, and it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Awesome. So with that here, before we go to trivia, let's talk about the Bucks, right? We talked about Grayson Allen. We talked about his big performance here in Game 4. And let's talk about, these past few games here. Let's just go talk about 3 and 4, preview 5 a little. Look, 3 was, talk about a game not even close. A blowout from the start. Wow. I mean, that was something else, Robert. Just the Bucks, look, they looked like, when they lost Game 2, it looked like a demon, was awoken inside of them. They, business was met, and not having Chris Middleton out for these couple of weeks, which is certainly going to hurt the squad. they just looked hungry. And I think, that's going to do it. Bobby Portis going back to the United Center, doing his thing, 18 and 16 in game 3. And then, look, Allen had another big game, 22 and 6. And then Giannis, of course, he had 18 points, 7 boards, 9 assists. He just makes the right play at the right time. We talk about guys who always make the right decision or nearly always make the right decision in EWC sports. Look, Giannis is just one of those guys who is doing it at the professional level right now.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, Giannis Antetokounmpo, you saw like early in the career, like when you lose those series like Toronto or the Celtics, I just think he really didn't have like, okay, yeah, we can do it against Orlando on a Tuesday night in the regular season, and he can get away with just playing bully ball. But I think he really didn't understand, like, okay, until we get to the playoffs here, how defenses change and how refs swallow their whistle and how just a lot of aspects that come into play. And I just think like he is so dominant when he gets the ball, like that 17-foot top of the key. It's over from that point because you're either giving up a layup or if you take away that, it's a 3 in the corner. And I've just noticed that with Giannis. It's much less him just dominating the point guard. You don't see that a lot now in the playoffs where you normally do in the regular season. Like he's just dominating that kind of like that middle, like free throw line area. And when he gets that down, just wow. It's just you really don't have an answer on how to defend 5 players when he gets the ball there. And so, I just think that's a big thing. And he's hopefully can just keep it rolling. I mean, I can't unsee what I saw last year in the playoffs and the finals from him. He finally like figured it out last year and just took over games. And I think this kind of sparks like this kind of next little era, these next 4 or 5 years that Giannis goes on. And I don't think it's a question like if he's going to win another one. Maybe it's a question, how many more will he win? I don't know. You just have to be ecstatic, like me and you, Bucks fans, just having him.
Exactly. And look, Drew Holiday, that was a story, had a pretty good game 3, had a very nice game 4 then, with 26 points, 7 assists. Look, I mean, Drew Holiday was concerning last year in some games in the playoffs, wasn't the first 2 this year, but look, he's turning it around and he's a guy you need, right? With Middleton going out and like Brook Lopez didn't do much, in game 4, but he's still a big crucial piece to this squad. And look, the big thing for me is you can get out of this first round, right? You're playing Giannis 35 minutes only in game 4, and then having him, being able to play backups for a good chunk in the second half in game 3. This is just an ideal situation for the Bucks now, up 3-1. Hopefully can close this series out then. And look, this is looking great because it looks like you're gonna be facing Boston right in the semis, and you're gonna have these guys rested. I think that's gonna be the big thing, right? You got, I believe, a two-day off. You have 2 days off right now. Yeah, because you play game 5, April 27th. So that gives, that Monday and Tuesday off for the Bucks before they go. So that's going to be even better, right? And not even play, Giannis only playing 35 minutes in this game, which is still a lot, but, playoffs, usually you'll see 40 plus here. So I'm liking what we're seeing right now from Coach Bud, and I'm liking what we're seeing in the minutes, how the minutes are being allocated right now. So look, Bucks close this out Wednesday. It looks like you get Boston. We'll do a little preview here before we go to trivia. Robert, what do you think, about a potential of a Boston-Milwaukee semifinal?
Yeah, it's tough because I always kind of went back and forth. Like Ben Simmons, what a joke! Like just what a joke. So Boston's going to win that series. I mean, I was kind of pulling for the Nets to win just because I think it's just more drama. The sports talk shows are better with, Kyrie and KD and Simmons. Is he playing? Like, it's just a little more fun. And I'd rather beat the Nets than the Celtics just because, I'm a big Kyrie Irving guy, but there's a lot of baggage with the Nets. And when we beat them last year, boy, did that feel so good, didn't it? And it's just like, I don't know, but yeah, it will be the Celtics. I mean, who knows? Nets might steal one. But yeah, I fully believe Bucks will get it done. And the Boston Celtics, they just kind of always like, they don't scare me, but they're the one team in the East I wouldn't really want to play just because I just think, they're well coached. They're a well-run organization who just does things the right way. Tatum is just a beast. Then they just, I mean, Al Horford is playing like he did 5-6 years ago, it looks like. And he just does a lot of stuff well. And they have so many guys that are just, I mean, Marcus Smart has just always been just a really good player in his career. So, I mean, I definitely like the Bucks in that series. I think at times, like Drew Holiday, like you said, he had some rough games in the playoffs last year. And in game 2 was the ugliest game I've seen him play in recent memory. But yeah, I just think if he can just kind of just maybe not like force as much, like just driving in, just get it to Giannis. Like you said, it looks so easy for the Bucks at sometimes. Like in the Bulls this series, yeah, it looked easy when DeRozan's on and the Bucks don't make an adjustment to go guard him at the 3-point line. He can just run up and shoot a shot. But it's just like the Bulls, it looked so hard for them to like operate and score. They looked so like everything was so hard. And I just think that's just a credit to Budenholzer and the Bucks defense making adjustments in these last 2 games. And so I think that's just a big thing for the series. You know, Tatum's going to have his big games. Smart's going to probably, play good defense. And I just think you just got to look for those adjustments. And I would Bucks in 6. Let's just
That's where I was going. Look, yeah, the Celtics being the best defensive team in the NBA based on metrics in the regular season. I think, Marcus Smart winning Defensive Player of the Year, right? They have proven guys. They have proven scores. Guy like Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen Brown's one of the most like consistent scorers in the NBA. Like, right? Tatum will give you those great games, but once in a while, I feel like Tatum throws in those stinkers, right? But you still can't question the skill level of Jason Tatum. But a guy like Jaylen Brown being kind of that second fiddle to him, I think that's that's big for this Celtics squad. But look, Middleton not having him hurts. He's always done well against the Celtics in his career, but I think, Bucks, I still think you got to trust the process here. I'm going to take a 76er save for the Bucks, but you got to fear the deer. Bucks in 6. So with that here, Robert, are you ready for some trivia?
I'm ready.
All right. I know you're looking forward to this. So this is a little grab bag, right? It's a lot of basketball. It's at the high school level, collegiate level, and it's just at those 2 levels. So with that here, let's go. Number 1 out of 5. There's 5 questions. There's multiple choice. One of them there's not, because I got to make sure. I just got to quiz you a little here. So here we go. How did the UW Oshkosh Titans do in men's basketball this past season? I'm looking for their record. I can give you options if you need them.
So let me answer this. Oh, like I'm pretty sure they went 27-3. 29-3? I know they had 3. I'm pretty sure they had 3 losses. I mean, I came in right at the start of the season, but I'm gonna go 29-3.
Based on so I'm gonna give you options based on what I found, right? So on what I saw here's your multiple choice here. And on their overall record, either 24-3, 22-5.
That's what it was.
Or 23-4.
24-3.
They went 23-4. So I throw a little tough one in there. I can read you their losses. They lost at Illinois. Yeah. They lost they lost
Wesleyan.
Yeah, Wesleyan.
Whitewater.
Yep. Eau Claire.
Case Western and Eau Claire.
Yep, they're your 4 losses.
Western was the one. I always look at their record and they lost the last one of the year. I don't know. I just totally forgot about that. I always knew we had our 3 losses, and then I obviously just forgot to count the last one.
No worries.
But I don't know why I was in the 29s and 27s. But yeah, you're correct. That 23-4 sounds very accurate.
All right, here's the next one here, Robert. They get a little, I throw in some high school here. Who won the conference in EWC boys basketball for the 2016 to 2017 year? So if you need options, I'll let you talk it out first.
No, I think I got this. So 2016, 2017. So that would have been the second season. I think that would have been the second season.
Correct.
In EWC.
Yep.
So the first year, okay, so can you see? I should know this.
I can give you options. Yeah, I'll give you them.
No,
here.
I don't. Okay,
no?
I mean, I know who like the options would be. Can you give me this? Like, any seniors. Like, who was a player of the year that year? I'm blanking.
Here, I don't have all those numbers up right now, but
I'm pretty sure it was. See, I'm really in between Valders, like Valders, New Holstein. I'm very in between those two, but I'm going to go with Valders.
it was New Holstein, and I am sorry, I give you the player of the year now. 2016 to 2017. Yep, it was him.
Yeah, I knew
they went 13-1. Valders went 12-2.
Dang it! I knew it was between those two, and I knew they met at Menasha there, and Valders got the last laugh, so that's why. And I always kind of thought Valders was the favorite in that game, and so that's why I went with Valders. But yeah, that was close.
Yeah, no, these are tough ones here to start. Next one here is about Robert Shimek's basketball career here. What was your career high in scoring for your senior year in basketball? 14, 16, or 18?
16 at home against Two Rivers.
There we go. Boom, he's got it.
All right. Not too high, so I didn't have much issue with that one.
Next one here. Here's a true or false. I'm going to read the statement, and you're going to tell me if it's true or false. Robert Shimek shot under 40% from three his junior year. Is that true or false?
See, this is kind of embarrassing. Like, I know all my stats, but I know on Huddle I shot 40% my junior year. I'm not sure what it was on WSN, and that's obviously where you're getting your stats. I feel like I feel like I'm just going to go under because I think it was in the 30s.
No, and you were right. It was 40. It was over 40. So, I mean, we can give you that. Well, like, look, you knew it was over 40. You just didn't know if they were a match in there. So, but which they would have been in that case because they both said over 40. So, last one here. So this one is a little fun here, and you get 3 strikes basically, and I need you to name 3 of the 5 scoring leaders for the EWC in 2015 to 2016. So the first year, you get 3. You get 3 strikes,
Carter
so 3 wrong
Velker,
ones.
Yeah.
Yep. There's one.
So Carter Velker, I think Carter Velker, obviously, 1.
He was number 2 that year.
Okay, yeah. Braden Peterson was 1.
Yep.
Carter Velker was 2.
Just name one.
Luke Schneider.
He was not on that list. Not Luke Schneider was not.
Zach Schneider.
Zach Schneider. There you go. You got the top 3. And then can you give me 4 and 5 just for some extra credit here? I guess.
Jared Petrie. And then I'm going to go. Jared Petrie is 4, right? JT.
JT was number 5. You're missing number 4 right now.
I'm just going through my teams here. Yeah. So, and then I want to say, I don't think like a Schuler or Persinger was up there.
Nope.
So not them. And I got Roncalli, no Chilton, no Brilliant. What it would have to have been. This is
why we love trivia.
Holstein.
Yep.
So I'm just going to go Burn.
Yep. There you go. Wow, that was impressive. So, I don't know how. I think we're gonna give you number 4. We'll say a 3 out of 5 showing here for you, Robert. This was a tougher trivia, right? I've given you some. You've dominated in them. We had to, up the difficulty here on a Monday Sports Crew episode. So, how was that?
Yeah, that was great. Little reminisce of the past, and it just I don't know. Been on those pages a lot on WSN, so some of that stuff just sticks with you.
And you've been around, watching EWC sports, since pre-EWC era, right? The old Olympian, right? Is some. You can go back to those days as well. But with that, Robert, you got anything you want to talk about left here on this Monday episode?
No, not really. I mean, I think, it was a very successful episode, obviously. Fun episode, I should say. And, hopefully, I never know, might be back. I would love to do more.
Yeah, it was great to have you on. Look, we love to have guests on, and we're going to keep rotating through them right now. So, Yeah, with that here, just talking social medias before we go today. Jordan Drew _ Sports Crew is the Instagram. At JD Sports Pod is the Twitter. YouTube, Jordan Drew the Sports Crew. And Facebook, Jordan Drew the Sports Crew. So with that, thank you all for listening to yet another episode of Drew's Sports Crew, the perfect podcast for you.